in to the state or come with that when we receive that declaration. On July 22nd of this year, President Trump approved Governor Whitmer's request for a major disaster declaration, and this unlocked public assistance for local governments and certain nonprofits. So what does that declaration cover? So it allows FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, to work with us with the Public Assistance or PA program, specifically debris removal, which is considered Category A, emergency protective measures, which is considered Category B. Now that Category A and B together is for emergency work. Then there is permanent work to repair public infrastructure. And though what was unlocked with this one was categories C, D, E, and G. Category F was not included, and we'll come back to that here in just a second. Eligible applicants include local governments, county agencies, and certain nonprofits such as utility co-ops, schools, and other critical service providers. So the public assistance that's now available is available in 13 counties, specifically Antrim, Charlevoix, Sheboygan, Crawford, Emmett, Kalkaska, Mackinac, Montmorency, Oscoda, Otsego, Alcona, Alpena, and Presqu'île, along with the Little Traverse Bay Band of Ottawa Indians. Each eligible entity inside that county must apply directly to FEMA to be considered for reimbursement. And again, we're going to touch on that just a little bit more here in just a second. So there were preliminary damage assessments that were done prior to this major presidential disaster declaration being declared. The total tally that we had in this joint PDA with FEMA and the state of Michigan was $137 million. This estimate supported the governor's request for this federal assistance, but it is not the final funding amount. The actual amount of federal support will depend upon how many eligible entities apply and the projects that FEMA ultimately approves. So how do entities apply? MSP EMHSD staff, we're going to continue to work directly with our state of Michigan partners that were involved and our local partners that were involved with this. Applicants must submit a request for public assistance or an RPA, and that is done through FEMA's grant portal. That's at grantee.fema.gov, and that will be listed as well into the chat. These RPAs are due within 30 days of the federal declaration being declared. So that puts us at an August 21st date. We are currently hosting applicant briefings. One was held this morning for state entities, and then we have one tomorrow morning for our local partners. Once approved, each applicant works with FEMA and the state to scope and submit project worksheets for review and approval. I want to make an important note on utility funding and then mention that $50 million estimate that was given by President Trump. While the president cited $50 million in federal assistance for Michigan, it's important to clarify that this number is not a cap. It's the federal estimate of costs to be reimbursed based on approved categories, excluding the Category F. That Category F covered public utilities permanent work. So public utilities permanent work, not public utilities emergency work. That can fall under that Category B. So in the initial PDA, many utility damages were categorized under Category F, which was not included in this final federal declaration. However, we expect that the opportunities for the utility providers to submit for that Category B under emergency work for a significant amount of the damages that they had incurred. I had asked FEMA for an example specifically on this. One of the examples that they gave me was electricity. Of course, electricity, not having any electricity is an emergency. We need to get the electricity back on. So the power pole snaps, the pole falls to the ground, the line comes with it, the transformer breaks. Utility company, a public utility company, needs to purchase a new pole. They need to install that pole in the ground. They need to hang up a line with that. They need to get the power back on. that all would fall under that category B for emergency work. Now, the permanent work might come if they have to bury a cable or put in some supports on that pole. That permanent work would not qualify. So again, making the differentiation between a category B public assistance and then that category F public assistance. There is assistance right now for residents and businesses through the Small Business Association, or SBA. Governor Whitmer had requested FEMA individual assistance when we requested the public assistance and hazard mitigation piece of this major presidential disaster declaration. We were notified this past Monday, July 28th, that the individual assistance piece of this request was denied. Now, we have 30 days to appeal that, and we are currently working with our governor's office to file an appeal on this. That deadline for an appeal is August 27th. But in the meantime, the Small Business Administration remains boots on the ground in several counties, including Sheboygan, Mackinac, Charlevoix, Emmett, Otsego, Presque Isle, and Montmorency. Through the SBA, low interest rate loans of as low as 2.75% can be given to individuals and businesses. To date, $3.1 million in SBA assistance has been offered. There's been dispersed nearly $1 million, closer to $820,000 specifically, that has gone out the door from SBA. Residents and businesses can apply online or in person for this SBA assistance. They can go to lending.sba.gov, or they can call 1-800-659-2955. Disaster loan outreach centers are currently open through August 8th at 5 p.m. Those are in Sheboygan County and Emmett County. In Sheboygan, they're at the Bodman Building, 229 Court Street, Sheboygan. In Emmett County, they're at the Little Traverse Township Hall, 8288 South Pleasant View Road in Harbor Springs. The current SBA loan deadlines for physical damage is August 8th of 2025, and then for economic injury or economic impacts would be March 9th of 2026. So in closing, this disaster had a widespread impact. We are committed to ensuring that communities recover and that they have what they need to recover along the way. We'll continue to work with FEMA and our federal partners to bring all that we can here to those that are in the state of Michigan. With that, that concludes my prepared comments, and I would open it up for any questions. Lauren, back over to you.
Thank you, Cap. Looks like right away we have, before we get into questions, just a reminder, for some of you, I can see your organization and not your name, and others I can see your name and not your organization. So please, before you ask the question, if you could let Captain Sweeney know who you are and what agency you represent, that would be great. Thank you. And looks like we're starting with Andrew Miniger.
Thank you, Captain Sweeney. I appreciate you taking our questions. I'm Andrew Miniger. I'm with MERS News. My question to you is, do you think the state legislature possibly jumped the gun approving the $75 million that they did for this instead of waiting for FEMA, and did that affect the amount that FEMA kind of promised?
Again, there's no promise, maximum or minimum, with what we could potentially get from this. It will depend on the applicants and the projects that are approved. And no, I do not think that passing that through the House had any type of impact with this. So good to see that our state legislature is thinking ahead, looking forward, and excited to see what the next piece of this is. The other thing that I did not mention with this is that there is a 25% cost share. So that cost share is passed on to whoever the applicant is. So if it's the DNR has a 25% cost share. If it's the County Road Commission, then that county is going to have that. Same with any public utility companies or any other of those nonprofits. So that's something else to keep in mind when we're talking about these large amounts of money, and then where's that cost share going to come from?
As a follow-up, is that 25% share, is that from their budget, or is that from the state budget?
It would be from the applicant's budget. So unless the state legislature or somebody else wants to allocate funding towards that, each applicant, each subrecipient is going to be on the hook for that 25% cost share.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next let's go to Michelle Perez.
You're
Michelle,
muted,
did you have a
ma'am.
question? We are not hearing you if you're talking. Does anybody else have a question? Perhaps we can come back to Michelle. Okay, it's in the chat. Is there anybody else with a question right now? Would you like, Michelle, would you like to put your question in the chat perhaps? Okay, Cap, looks like she's typing. We'll wait for that question to get up. Okay, question is, Cap, in reference to Presque Electric and Gas, will they receive more funding due to the extent of damage, or are they eligible for more?
Well, right now, our understanding is that they'll be able to submit under that category B, as they're a utility company, a nonprofit utility company. They'll be able to submit for the emergency work, but they won't be able to submit for permanent work under category F. Now, I do want to point out that along with the individual assistance piece of this, we were also denied the category F piece, and we were denied hazard mitigation. So all three of those pieces, we are working with the governor's office to help the governor file an appeal on those three pieces, and we're hopeful that category F might be considered and be approved by the president. If that becomes the case, then any permanent work would apply as well. But we do think a lot of the costs are going to qualify under emergency work, but we just have to wait and see what the projects are that are submitted.
Okay, were there any other questions? Andrew, looks like you have another one.
Yeah, I figured I'd ask another one. With the damage, you mentioned that it had to be reimbursed, correct? In this, rather than being a matter of the direct funding from the federal government. Who are they going to be dealing with? FEMA, or is it the state, or is there where's the central portion that the departments have to apply, I guess?
Oh, that's a great question. So the state is the recipient. So specifically the Michigan State Police Emergency Management Homeland Security Division, we serve as the state administrating agent for these federal grants. So FEMA works directly with us, and then we liaison with the individual applicants, or what we call subrecipients. So we'll be the recipient of the funds. They are the subrecipients. In each one of these cases, a caseworker is going to be assigned from FEMA to help work with these entities that apply. Those that have more loss, more projects that are being submitted, will have more individual attention, where others, they'll have one caseworker for a multitude of different applicants. But the three entities, FEMA, the state, and the applicant, the subrecipient, will meet and work through all the paperwork and the processing that needs to come through. And you are correct that this is reimbursement. So those applicants will spend the money first and then seek reimbursement.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. Are there any other questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Thank you all for joining us. I did put Captain Sweeney's name and title in the chat. And again, we will have this posted on our MSP EMHSD YouTube page later this afternoon if you need it. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.